we were talking about pullbacks, and I know this one is Kenny in here. Is Kenny here?
I don't think I
This
saw him
was
log
the
in. He's
one.
not in yet.
This was the one. Ooh, I hate to start without him, but John's not here either. Okay, all right.
No, John's there.
Oh, is John here? Okay.
At least just saw him a moment
I'm
ago.
here.
Oh,
Yeah, he's
okay.
there. There we go. Yeah.
Oh, hey, John. Hey, John. Kenny had talked about he had gotten in on this particular trade on SPY. And right now, guys, there's been a whole lot of volatility because we got so much going on right now. We got this inflation thing, we have got, the interest rates going up. They're eliminating QE. We got a freaking war going on the other side of the planet. We've got supply chain issues happening. I was just reading last night that over in Shanghai, they got 500 ships sitting out in the harbor. I'm so glad I'm not doing any importing right now because COVID is kicking back up. They got people on lockdown. It's just crazy. So we're seeing a whole lot of volatility right now in the markets. And because of that, hold on a second, let me move you guys over here too real quick. Because of that, I'm trying to move you guys over. There you go. I'll put you guys over here. And because of that, we're getting a whole lot of volatility and a whole lot of movement. Let me turn this music off in the background too. I can't talk with the music going. I love hearing my music, but hard for me to focus. So we're getting a whole lot of volatility, a lot of pullbacks. This was a SPY trade that I think Kenneth was talking about last week. It was this SPY trade. And I just wanted to kind of bring this up. And you know what, let's do it like that. And he was talking about, he thought he saw the picture of strength here early in the morning with the flat 200, and it started to move up with the 8 and the 20. And then he got the pullback on this red candle here. And he said he got scared out on the red candle. But there's a lot of things going on here. And what I want to kind of do is I want to kind of be kind of interactive with you guys today, because even as you guys are posting some things on Facebook, I just want to make sure that, I gave you guys so much in that course. There were so many things that we went over, you can forget about stuff, I don't have to remember much because my wife takes care of everything, but the few things I do got to remember, I remember this stuff, adamantly. So the red candle pulled back here, but I wanted to just point out a few things. And it's too bad Kenneth's not here because I wanted to show him there's some things that he needed to be aware of. First of all, we had the picture, we may have had the picture of strength, but we were still in the trap zone during that red candle. So you shouldn't have been scared out by that red candle. You shouldn't have been doing anything inside of there at all. But if in fact you do want to take that trade once it climbs out, once it reaches this portion, I'm fine with that. I'm fine really with a couple of, because there's a couple of things going on here. If you look, yeah, that red candle appeared, but it traded back down up against the 200 moving average as well as the 8, which is a halt right there too. I mean, we got a couple of things going on. You've got support here on the 200. You've got it right up against the 8, okay? And yeah, it did pull back, and that's fine, but it pulled back. If you look and see something here, if you look and see, let me do this. If you go back to yesterday or the day before, there's the candle, there's the actual move. So if we're drawing our lines, let me erase that. Let me do it like this. because that's kind of, and let me do it like this. If we're drawing our lines, we're really drawing our lines from there, okay? Because it started yesterday. Yesterday started the move and it just moved right up. It didn't have a gap. Which, Iman, I'm going to talk to you today. You posted something today too with a gap that I'll talk about today too, that I want you guys to recognize, because it was like, if you had recognized that, that was a big money move today. So if we're drawing our lines, okay, we're still in that upper 33%. Okay, and then 66 down here. That's a fat one. Anyway, you guys get my drift. Okay, so it traded back down and then back up. Okay, but we got to be cool, because if we go back an hour, we're right here. Okay, so really, you're looking at it, and you if you just wanted to break the rules, you could have broken the rules and gotten in right here. Okay, because remove all that. This green candle right here was a 55% retracement of that red candle off of 200, leaning up against the 8. I mean, that's a buy. That's a buy, other than the fact that we are inside of trap zone. So you got to be cool. So really your buy happens right here. That's where the buy start. That's where you should buy. That's where your buy should occur. Okay. So anyway, Kenny wasn't there, isn't here, but I wanted you guys to see that. I was really kind of bringing that up for him. But are you guys?
But it is being recorded.
Yeah, it is being recorded. You get a chance to see. I know a lot of people are catching the recordings. Patrick's telling me everybody's looking at the recordings, which is cool. But are you guys kind of getting that? Iman, you posted a trade today. What stock was that?
Either Roblox or
It was Roblox. It was Roblox.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull that up real quick.
Mr. Tony, real quick, you mentioned just now that red from right there, it's so you're looking at that as a halt going in, because I think maybe this is just me. Can you just touch on the halt and 180 just real quickly in like, if you were looking at it, what would you say would be like the one sentence, this is a halt versus this is 180? I understand 180, it needs to retrace 100% of what the previous one was.
So that's not that's not in the category.
That would be different, right?
Right.
How would you, just to put in a sentence for the halt?
A halt is like if we were going in and out, draw a candle. Like if we were kind of going in and then out and then in and then out and then in, and then it hit and it went up and then it hit again and then it did like that, that will be your halt right there. Okay.
Gotcha.
Because it traded inside and out of the moving average, inside and out of the moving average, and then it couldn't try to come down and do it again, and it just said and then took off, and then you had the breakout. That would be how you would identify your halt. Okay.
Would you say most of the time it hits twice, or can it hit once and be a halt and go up?
It can hit once. It doesn't have to be twice. I was just using that as an illustration,
Okay.
But nah, it doesn't have to do it twice. It could have happened right here, Colleen, and then took off and went there. That would have been fine too. It was just the fact that it couldn't continue to trade in and out of the moving average. It wouldn't let it happen again. The pattern of it moving in and out stopped right here. And then
Gotcha.
You see that
Okay.
actually later in the day, Mr. Tony, on that same day. It looks like that is an example.
All the way at the end,
So
right?
11:15, between 11:15 and 11:30 really is when
Right
the
here.
move, maybe 11:27. You see further, keep going to where it goes to the uptrend. So like
over here.
consolidation, right? Oh, but further back, just where it actually the uptrend then takes off again. That's what I see it
Yeah. Okay.
on your explanation.
Okay. And here, you can kind of draw it.
right, because it consolidated basically, in essence.
And then right here,
Yes,
Mhm.
correct.
there's no more in and out. There's no more coming, weaving in and out of the 20. And then stops right there. And then from there, it takes off and it goes and it takes off and goes. Yeah. Yeah. So I think, Iman, you had asked me a question today, or you had posted something. You said, this is hard. And I think Ray picked up on it and he was like, no, and which was correct. I mean, that was the correct answer. But I want you guys, and I'm glad you guys are helping each other. I'm really loving the Facebook. You can tell. I mean, even yesterday before I went and hit balls, I was like, let me post some stuff on here, because I really like that you guys are putting stuff up. You're asking questions, and you guys are helping one another out. I think that's really, really cool. Roblox, right? Roblox. Hold on a second. I want to pull that. Is everybody cool with this one first?
Mhm.
We're good. Okay. And then, well, hey, you know what? While I'm here, before I get to that, there's something else I wanted to talk about. So we're talking about pullbacks, and we're going to see a lot of pullbacks here coming up. There's going to be a bunch of them. Okay. So we will get, and what is going to be the difference, right? When you guys see the moving average, especially the 8, the 20, okay, are moving in an upward or downward direction. And you're going to see a lot of times, just like what occurred right here, but it was still kind of early on, but not really if you take into account yesterday's, the day before. This is not today's chart. This is from last week. The day before that it had already moved up. So you already had this trend, okay? So what determines a pullback, okay? And what determines a pullback for me is the quality of the move before you have the pullback. Did it struggle? Was it these little itty bitty candles? Even if you look at this right here, you have some little tiny candles, but then you had this impressive candle right here, right? So you go, oh, okay, somebody's in there. Somebody just threw some money in there on this candle right here. So I can have a pullback here and it can still move back up. Because if we are, and that's why I was reminding you guys today, draw your lines. Because if you're still drawing your lines, you can't forget. Everyone, oh, I forgot to draw my lines. Don't. Yeah, it's kind of a fat one. It should be a little bit. But anyway, still trading down. It traded down in here, but stayed saying that 66%, still had the chance to move back up. It's when it trades down there. That's when it tends to do this and then that. Okay. Please be aware of that. But when it stays within those parameters, those first couple, if it stays within these first couple, then it's got a shot. It's got a shot of moving back up. From here, it's like 80%. From here, it's like 60%. And then from here, it's only like 10%. That's why typically when that line does draw, when it goes there, it'll trade like to there, and then it'll do that. Okay. But what tells me it's a pullback instead of it selling off? Couple of things. The quality, like I said, the quality of the move, the previous move, okay? So it's some nice candles in there, okay? And it did come back down. Now, I don't particularly like this one because it is a decent sized red candle. I would rather see, a smaller candle like that, a candle like this, because remember, this candle at some point, it was red down there at the bottom. So I don't mind when they move like that. I just don't want to see them moving, and we've been seeing this lately. I just don't want to see a candle do like that. When it does that, it's like, oh, wait a minute. And here's the other thing. Well, I'm really glad we're talking about this. As I start talking about stuff, I start remembering stuff. We want to see, I talk about, like how a plane lands. We want to see planes kind of coming in, landing kind of like that. It comes in, it lands like that. Nobody wants to be in a plane that lands like that. Okay, that ain't the kind of plane we want to be in. Okay, when it comes to landing a plane. All right. So the same thing applies with these. You don't want to see big dramatic sell-offs. Okay, and then thinking that okay, maybe it's just a pullback and it's going to be all right. No, it's not. It's not just a pullback. It's going to be all right. That thing is in full. It's in a full free fall flight, full flight free fall or whatever they call it. Yeah. So you don't want to be involved with those. Also, too. Here, let me change this up here. Also, too. Look and see if you've got that 8 or that 20 as a support over there. Now, sometimes when we get wide, hey, I wanted to show you guys one. Sometimes when it's wide and you don't really see that support there, you've got to be kind of leery of the fact that I really don't have anything there to support me. Okay, there's nothing there. I don't have an 8, I don't have a 20, or at least it's far away, or it's gotten too wide. Like right here, we're narrow. That's pretty darn strong right there. I mean, you've got some really good support there. But if the 20 gets out here, and you get that space, you know how I talk about when you get space from there and then you got space from there, you got to be a little bit leery. Okay, you go and then was that an impressive candle that moved up? Was that a really nice candle? Did it have a series of nice candles that moved up? Or was it just, a couple little inky dinky ones that kind of moved up and then it started to pull back? In that case, then I'm thinking, I don't really see enough support over to the left for me to stay in this trade. Okay. One other thing too. There's a lot. Okay. So sometimes, and let me pull up, was it this one? Maybe it was this AMD I wanted to show you guys the other day too. Oh gosh, there's a couple. No, it's not this one. Sorry, guys. Sorry. That is not the one. Shoot. Nope. Made it bigger. Get rid of it. Okay. I wanted to show you something else. And it wasn't my trade, it was actually my brother's trade. My other brother Charles, not Jerome. Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's it at? Oh gosh, here it is. This is something I want you guys to be aware of. Let me close this screen down too. This thing's getting too big. Okay. So, and this stock is UAL, I believe. Yeah, UAL. Okay. On a 2-minute chart. So my brother calls me and says, hey, this is the picture of weakness, isn't it? And he calls me right in the beginning of the market, which I tell him never to call me at the beginning of the market, but he did. Okay. And I looked at it for just a minute and I said, yeah, that's a picture of weakness. And I hung the phone up. And then he texts me back and says, hey, man, that thing failed. I lost money on it. And I text him back, nothing's 100%. I'll look at it later. Okay, so this is what I want to make you guys aware of. Because sometimes, and I put it in the Facebook chat all the time, we got to be patient. But there's some things that you need to be able to identify to know when to be patient, because he wound up getting in here. It did one of these numbers. He got in here, it did that, and then it did that on him, right? And then he lost money right in here. and he got out. And then he said, okay, it's up against the 200. And then he did that there, and it did that again. And he wound up, I think he made no money or something like that. And he was like, I'm done. I told him, I said, here's why, buddy. Here's why. Anytime you see a flat 200, which is what we're looking for, okay. You know what? I want to take that off there. You guys can see it. I don't need to put that on there. Anytime you have a flat 200 and you have a gap from here to here, and I'm going to talk about gaps tonight too, because we're seeing a lot of gaps too, especially on the Roblox. I wanted to show you, Iman, that was a money maker today. If you identify it, okay. If you come back and you look at the low, just like when we're pulling out our trap zone, but if you go back and say right here, say you look at the low within the last hour of trading, okay, is right there. You've got a zone, and actually that's kind of small because it started right here and then it went down. So I'm going to draw a line now. And I know when you're trading, you can't do this. You can't sit here and do all this. This takes a little time, but you can do it in retrospect. And when you see it, I've just kind of seen all this stuff, and it just, you know, it's like a bad movie that just keeps replaying in my head. I see all these different charts because I've looked at them all. I've probably cried over them or something, you know, and I got a post-traumatic stress syndrome from them. All right. And then we got this flat 200, right? We've got this little zone that occurred right here. Okay. We had a gap. It gapped down. Okay. Here's where it finished the day before. And then it gapped down to this red candle here. And then it went lower, right? And created a red candle. All right. So we had that gap in place. We have a flat 200. Okay, right here, flat 200. Okay. For this stock to be able to trade back up through that gap zone, one, and the 200, which is a flat 200 right there, number two, that takes a lot. That takes an awful lot. You guys got to be aware, if you got two things going against you, I had the gap down, okay, traded down lower, it's trying to come back up. It trades, you can see this green candle comes right back up into that zone from the low of yesterday. These people, again, from yesterday are just going, I want to get my money back. If I can get any money out of this thing at all, I just want out because I don't like it when it was down there. Now it's come back up. It's traded back up. Some buyers have come in, probably covering their shorts if they were short sellers, okay? Because even though it moved up, and I know I don't talk about volume a lot, it was on a lighter volume. It wasn't on as much volume as that sell pressure was. So it was more than likely just short sellers covering themselves, okay? So it trades up into this little zone here, right? All right. Hello? Okay. It trades up into this little zone right here. So it gets into that zone, but then you got the 200 right here too. It's just going to take a little bit of time. This is one of those trades that you just have to be patient with. And as I was telling him, because if you just wait and you're patient with it, you'll see that at some point it will, you know, sell off. The sell-off will come. You just have to be patient and let it happen. Okay. Real important. So make note of that. Anytime you see that gap, okay, just go back and look at the low from the previous day. Is it in a tight, narrow range? Now, if it's wide, it's going to be a little bit different, okay? But if it's in a tight, narrow range like that, no, it's going to be hard to trade through that zone. It's going to be really difficult, okay? Keep that in mind. And what you may have to do is you just may have to be patient because in this case, patience paid off. But
So,
you
Mr.
just-
Tony, you're saying that more than likely, if it traded that tight yesterday into today,
Mhm.
it ain't going above that. Well, basically, what it did was where the 200 was at today. That's where the low was at 3 o'clock from yesterday. So that being the case, you're saying more than likely. Again, nothing's 100%, but more than likely, it's not going to penetrate that area again.
Gonna be really hard. It's gonna be really hard. Okay. It's gonna be really hard. So he got tricked on the picture of weakness here, but then it came back again. It came back again right here, at least with the 20. We created that narrow zone I always talk about. It created the narrow zone right there. How we went from narrow here to wide. Okay. He thought it was going to happen here. He thought it was going to happen more or less here in that area there, but it didn't. It came back on him. And it came back on him because we had this gap. These people were trying to, as this thing was riding up, they wanted to try and get some of that money out of there, and that was fine. And then sometimes you just get caught in these, but I just want you guys to be aware of that flat 200. That flat 200, remember, I said, that's kind of like the granddaddy. You really have to respect it. Okay. So don't give up on it. All he had to do was give it one more chance because it was waiting. It was like that little picture they talk about how the guy's digging gold and then he stops like a foot away from the gold and he leaves, That's what happened with my brother, with Charles. He was right up against the gold, but he quit right here and he took his ball and went home. And then from there it went.
But we should have been able to realize that 200 was serving as a ceiling, and it never broke it, right?
Never
And
broke.
so if you were in on that first line you just put, then you went down, then I'm waiting for it to break through again before I bail,
Yeah.
right? If it doesn't break through, then I'm still hanging in there.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Ray, because a lot of times I'm hoping that you guys are noticing that and you're going, okay, did it break the 200? No, the answer is no. Did it break the 200 here? Again, the answer is no, it did not. There's not two consecutive green candles breaking that 200. So you just got to be patient.
And it halted basically at the 200.
Yeah. I mean, we had a couple little poke throughs right here, but that was just
Yeah.
booze. There's nothing. Yeah. And you just had to be patient because here it finally happened. But he lost money on that. He was all mad. I went to go hit some balls yesterday, and he was like, I want to go hit balls. I'm like, all right, whatever, man. All right. I wanted to show you, Iman, gosh darn it. Is this Roblox? Let me see if I can bring up Roblox real quick here. Let's close this out. Are you guys having any troubles with anything in particular too while I am doing this?
I just want to show you something, Mr. Tony, regarding the Q's chart, 2-minute chart today, and to see if there is any indicator that it was going to do what it was going to do. I don't think you'll see one, but I just want to run it by you to see.
All right. We'll look at it in just a second here.
All right. Whenever. Take your time.
Oh,
And then was that the gap that you were showing us, the gap that you said will make us a lot of money, or is this the one you're about to show us now?
this one right here. This one right here.